tuned in to www.oghuskyradio.com, broadcasting live from the east side of Los Angeles, worldwide, with
Boyle
special guests.
Heights.
We usually down the street in El Sereno, but right now we're in Boyle Heights, in the beautiful, just real close to Corazon del Pueblo, which is just across the street. And the Boyle, what is that? The Hollenbach Youth Center. I
Yeah.
don't think even people drive by don't even realize that it's there, but huge gym. Fortunate to have my kids play there.
And
So
right next door is Casa 0101. So we have two theaters, live theaters here in Boyle Heights. And they're both Casa 0101, but one's little casa and one's big casa. So now we're in the big house.
is that part of why you moved in this area, or
Exactly,
straight you
because
knew?
this is like, I consider it the cultural mecca of Chicanismo, and it's time that we have an area that's dedicated to the expression of our culture. We also have Mariachi Plaza,
Yes.
which is our roots in the Mexican culture, and we have El Mercadito where you guys were heading.
We went the wrong way.
El Mercadito, and that's also a center for Mexican culture and mariachi. So a lot of our parents come from Mexico, and we're born here, so we're Mexican Americans, and also known as Chicanos. So we need to represent now. I mean, there's down the street is the little Tokyo,
Yeah.
and you have Chinatown, and you have Thai Town, Koreatown.
Yeah.
Where's Chicano Town?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Huh? Yeah. Well, you never
we're-
thought of that, right? We just East LA and it's automatically assumed. You know what I mean? But yeah,
where's the street?
where's
Or,
Little Mexico? You
well,
know what I
Little
mean?
Mexico is no. Little Mexico is Olvera Street.
Uh-huh.
So see, people say, well, you have Olvera Street. And, well, whoa, study the history of Olvera Street. Christine Sterling started Olvera Street as a tourist destination. So she created like a little Mexican village. It was like a recreation. See, it's kind of like when you go to Knoxbury Farm, and it's kind of like the Old West.
Yeah.
Well, she actually started that as a tourist attraction. And then she commissioned David Alfaro Siqueiros, Mexican revolutionary muralist, that was working in Chenard teaching muralism because he was the head of Communist Party. And then, they told him to go to jail or leave the country. And he came here to LA, to MacArthur Park, where I'm raised. And I was telling you guys earlier that Siqueiros painted the first spray mural there at Chenard. It was called El Mitin de los Obreros, the workers' meeting. And he identified, with the plight of the slaves and, African Americans and, immigrant workers and the working class people. So his mural depicts that. Then Christine Sterling found out that Siqueiros was at Chenard and commissioned him to do an advertisement for this tourist attraction, Olvera Street. But instead he painted America Tropical, showing a mestizo crucified with an imperial eagle above his head and revolutionary guns pointing to the eagle.
Oh.
So they didn't like that.
Of course not.
They didn't like that.
We like your art, but not that one.
Yeah, so they had that buffed. So they buffed it, and then they spent $6 million to take the buff out.
Yeah.
So across the street from Chenard
Yeah.
is where Radiotron was, right there on Parkview and 7th Street. So it's interesting because
you say that, and then that's probably like how you're here in this area now. We could see so much stuff going on just within like 2 blocks of this place where we're at now. And you're saying like for muralists, this was across from Radiotron. And at the time, did you know all that was going on?
Well, at the time that I was at Radiotron, I didn't know that Siqueiros' piece was across the street.
Okay.
If I would have known that, I would have shared that with the graph writers.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know that I was going to be at a Radiotron either.
Yeah. Well, let's go. We didn't even introduce, man, because if you guys don't know, I've been fortunate to not work, but to have the friendship with this guy sitting next to me, and like a lot of mentoring that he did for me. Is Bubsky, OG Husky Radio. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and give a contact so they get a hold of you and all that stuff. Let's get that
Are you
out
sure they want to get a hold of me?
Yeah. Oh, if you're involved in any form of hip hop, you definitely want to get a hold of this guy. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Carmelo Alvarez, and I have a Facebook, Carmelo Alvarez, and also producing a documentary called "The Politics of Youth Culture," which talks about how important it is to have alternative spaces for young people, and we're gonna be releasing that right now after Radiotron, which we'll talk about the Radiotron show, 30th
Yes.
anniversary coming up, and then I'll share a little bit about the documentary film.
When you started the Radiotron and doing the Radiotron, did you really was it a plan like people now? I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna brand this. I'm gonna logo. I'm gonna do all. Explain just what it was when you're growing up in MacArthur Park and how everything came to be as Radiotron.
Well, first of all, let's explain to the listeners
Yes.
what Radiotron is, or what it was. Radiotron was the first hip hop youth cultural center in the West Coast, and the way that Radiotron came to be is that I actually rented a space in a building that was on the corner of Radiotron that was owned by Jack Huntsberger. And the reason I rented that space was to create a performing arts academy.
Okay.
And one day Jack Huntsberger came to me and he said, "Hey, I have this little theater in the back and that'll be perfect for you." He said, "But one thing, every Friday night from 11 to 5 in the morning, there's a club called Radio." He says, "Get rid of them." And I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay, let me check it out." So Friday came, 11 o'clock. So I strolled over there, and the minute I stepped on the first step to go in, somebody threw a bottle at me, and they yelled, "You fucking Mexican!" Hey, you don't have a beep, do you hear? Like beep.
Nah.
You don't beep.
It's okay.
There's
We're
like
good.
free speech.
Yeah, free speech.
Okay, so
100%.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk real. I'm gonna talk
Okay,
the
yeah,
real
definitely.
deal here. Okay. So they yelled. They said, "Fucking Mexican." So I'm saying, "Whoa, somebody doesn't want me here." Like, I saw it was like a lot of people coming up, and then somebody yelled out, "Hey, Madonna's coming, Madonna!" And Madonna she had like her first hit like came out around that time,
Okay, we're talking early
like
80s.
early 83.
Okay.
83. So Madonna was, a up and coming artist. So I had heard of her.
Okay.
And I knew who she was, so I knew that, she was fine.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna
I
stay
said,
at this
"Madonna."
club.
Exactly. I said, "Whoa,
I'm not throwing them out.
Thank you." So I said, "If Madonna's coming up in here, I'm gonna be like, whoa, let me check out Madonna," right? So when I went in there, oh my God, that's the first time that I had ever seen like hip hop. Okay, you had Ice-T
Yeah.
like rapping, and you had the glove,
Cutting it up.
spinning,
Yeah.
and then there were all these poppers, and then there were like little ciphers on the side. And what was amazing to me, which had the most impact, was the diversity of the people there, because there were people literally like of every nationality and age. I even saw kids like little Coco,
Uh-huh.
like, and then there were some elders there that were just, I guess, people know when something new is getting ready to jump off, like
Yeah.
like when jazz started and everybody wants to be a part of it. So there were hipsters, there were looky-loos, but the artists, that's what impressed me. And I saw it, and it reminded me of the hippie movement,
Okay.
because I come out of the hippie movement. I went to the teenage fair, and we had like psychedelic rooms, and there was a hippie castle down the street from me, like an old Victorian house that was painted all psychedelic, and there was graffiti in the streets that said love and peace, and so that had an influence on me. So I said, "Oh, this is the new hippie movement."
Hippie movement.
And then I started like thinking about like the bebop, because some of the
Okay.
kids use bebop. The bebop was the jazz, the 30s underground,
Mhm.
And then there was the beatniks in the 50s, like the Cool Cat Daddy
Yeah.
Yo, where they don't clap,
Coffee
they
shop
they
that-
snap,
yeah.
and they do freestyle. They do poetry with the little bongos, Like a lot of kids that do freestyle, they remind me of beatniks,
Yeah.
because they got their little goatee, and then but they use electronic beats now as
Yeah.
opposed to bongos back then.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Same thing, So you have the bebop, then you have the beatniks, and then you have the hippies, and then you have the.
Hip hop.
There you go.
Yeah.
Makes sense now, right?
So so then you were just seeing that it's how can I say, it's just a new thing of it's all the same, but it's just a new way of what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a
Youth
cultural.
expression.
Yeah, yeah, it's a the new cultural movement of that era of the '80s, or of that particular generation. So I understood it because I come out of that,
Okay.
and also being a tap dancer, I studied jazz and I tap dance and I did ragtime and I know the history of that.
Okay.
So it made sense to me. So I told the owner, I said, "Hey, this is cool. Let him stay. Like, let him be there."
Yeah.
And then they came and did, the movie Breaking and Electro Boogaloo. Electro Boogaloo was actually about, see, after they did Breaking, all the little kids from the neighborhood, from MacArthur Park, they were the Hungry Breakers.
Okay.
And they're gonna be there on Sunday.
Wow.
But they're
Nice.
grown up now, they're
Yeah.
making money. Not all of them, but but
But
but some of them are, like
yeah.
Little C, which we'll talk about, Little Caesar and his hip hop school of the arts. Um, so after they filmed the movie Breaking, and I opened up the youth center, a little kid named Gizmo comes knocking on my door, and he's like, "Hey, Mister, can we break in there?" I say, "Yeah, sure," because I'm trying to figure out, how am I gonna get the kids? I
Kids
have
in
to make
here.
flyers.
Yeah.
So the next thing I know, the word went spread out, and I had like kids coming from all over, especially like MacArthur Park area, because there wasn't really anything for them to do. That was in the '80s. It was heavy because they were breaking in the park for money to buy food, and also that was like heavy crack.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
that was when the Iran Contra thing and exchanging arms for cocaine, and then cocaine ends up in South
Like,
LA and forming crack and gangsters, and it was.
a lot of the stuff that went on the streets of LA, we did not know that it had at the time. It was later revealed of what really happened.
Yeah, but
But
MacArthur Park was the
back
mecca
of
of,
it, yeah.
of the crack. Everybody knew, go to MacArthur Park. That's where
That and your Mika.
you get paperwork. I know. I tell the mequeros, I go, "You're doing more than Obama," and they're like, "What do you mean?" I go, "Because you get the green card."
Cards.
you know, you know? And
Once
they,
again, we're interviewing Carmelo Alvarez. What would you say, founder of Radiotron,
oh, okay,
organizer?
no,
Let's
no,
get
no.
into that.
Okay,
Let's
let's get straight with that. Okay, like
Okay.
I said, when I got there was a radio club,
Okay.
and that was Ice-T spot. So I always pay respects, give credit where credit's due. That was the an underground club, after hours underground club, called Radio Club, and I don't take credit for that.
Okay.
Okay, I started a youth center, and when they did the movie Breaking, they they put Radio Club, and the Radio Club people didn't like that. So the producer called the graffiti writer, Craze, and told him change it. So Craze buffed Club, and he put Tron.
Tron.
He created that. So you got to
Okay.
give credit where credit is due.
Definitely.
So I didn't.
That's
I,
a lot of not that, even just that little bit though is so much history. You know what I mean? Like people out there. So it was a buff because the producers they didn't want
Yeah.
the radio club and then added the Tron.
Right, because the Radio Club promoters, they wanted to, they want to get paid for that, right?
Okay.
So he buffed it, and if you look real close, if you ever see a Radiotron, logo somewhere or a picture of it,
Yeah.
and if you look real close, you'll notice that there's like a little buff right there. You could spot
Check
it like with
out.
the,
Yeah, yeah.
if you're like
Now
a,
that you're looking for it.
yeah, if you're like an archaeologist and you like to really go deep, you'll find it. But
Let's go through some of the artists, like even
yeah.
even the street art. I don't like the term graffiti, but let's say street artists that you've been fortunate to see as kids, and
hmm
now let's
Right. So what happened was that okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
we talked about like the breakers, like the Hungry Breakers came in,
Yeah.
and Little Caesar was a part of that. Little Caesar, Little Lewis, Gizmo, the whole little crew. So in terms of graffiti, um, I was driving on the street like in Pico Union, and I saw a kid busting a Scooby Doo in the alley. And I said, wow, that's incredible, because the little kid looked like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
So I backed up, and the kid packed all his spray paint in his backpack and started running down the alley. So I drove up next to him, and I said, I like your work. And he's like, what? I go, I like your work. And he goes, oh, man, I thought you were a cop. I said, no. I go, I have a spot down there called Radiotron where a lot of kids like you go there. So I gave him a flyer.
Yeah.
That was Prime.
Wow.
Prime. So Prime went, that's how I met Prime. He was busting a Scooby Doo in an alley down
Man.
Venice. and
And
then he just went there every day. And then Prime met Crime there.
Okay.
Okay, Prime met Crime, and they formed, K2S
Twist.
and Defer. Okay, and there were guys from different neighborhoods. Like when Duke strolled up there,
Okay.
Duke strolled up there, 64 Chevy, like the Duke, right?
Yeah.
They opened the door. He's like being driven in a 64 lowrider Chevy, right?
Uh-huh.
Pendleton, the Duke, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh my God, the Duke, the Duke!" Everybody's like, "Oh, the Duke, the Duke has arrived, right?" And the Duke came up there and he's like, "Hey, how can I paint here?" He's go, "Let me see your work." So he showed me a couple of pieces, and the Duke, man, he's a
Yeah.
great artist, man. The Duke, Prime, all those guys,
We're
man.
we're just seeing
I
the
love them,
you're just fortunate to show a little film that you're working on, a little
Yeah,
trailer. You had the Duke and Xander piece in there.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Duke showed up, and I mean, the Duke is like a good friend of mine, and he's an amazing artist. He's grown so much. Prime has done incredible. Prime just got selected to do that. He did the cover of the Getty, like
Yeah.
150 writers, in a book
And it's for history purposes. Yeah.
historical
Yeah,
purposes.
we
So,
were fortunate to interview him about it too.
wow. So
Yeah.
Prime did the cover of that,
Yeah.
and the Duke does sculptures like Mayan indigenous sculptures, and he knows when he does the sculpture, he knows about the piece he's doing. He reads about it, studies
That's
it.
it.
He's not just doing randomly. He goes deep into the knowledge of the indigenous peoples, and it's so I've seen him grow. I've seen all these guys.
As a mentor, like to artists and encountering people like that, where does it come from you, from Carmelo? Like, where did it come from that you took that path? Because I've known you personally, and within hip hop, people, you sacrifice a lot of stuff to help people. Like, where does that come from you? Like, what happened to you, or what made you go that route? Not a lot of people give up and stop. And obviously we have the 30th anniversary this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You're still doing it, still
Yeah,
relevant. I
yeah.
mean, but where did it come from you to take that path?
It came from like hanging off a freeway overpass because I got tired of being tired. I got tired of being rejected. Like my father, he rejected me because I was an artist and he thought I was crazy. When his compadres would say, "Oh, mi hijo es un carnicero," my son's
Yeah.
a plumber, a butcher, and they would ask him, "And your son?" "Ah, mi hijo está loco," you know.
Oh shit.
So he didn't understand. He came from a rancho, so
Yeah.
he taught me a lot of things. Though he taught me to work, he taught me to build. So my dad actually taught me to build, but he didn't know how to express his love. So being rejected by my father, and then I became an artist, and I actually was a tap dancer, ragtime dancer. And when I wanted to find my own culture, there was no place to go. There was only like two movies you auditioned for. Was what was it? Walking Proud and Boulevard Nights. So there was cholo parts.
Yeah. I
So
ain't dumb. What does he say?
yeah. So I read the script, and the script was dumb, stereotype, dumb, stupid
Yeah.
script. So I didn't want to play that because that's what I came. You're coming out of that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
why you want to play that?
Yeah,
So
a lot of people have a misconception, and we don't glorify where we're coming from. It makes us who we are, but we don't want to like glorify
well, you
it.
can play a cholo if you play a cholo as a three-dimensional character, and you understand why that person, is in that lifestyle,
Yeah.
and you go deep into it.
Yeah, let's get into the political side
There
of
you
that. Let's
go.
do something on
Yeah,
that level.
and
Why
even
why are you out there?
or
And
even as the script itself. It's not about like just the character of a cholo. It's like what is the story about? So not always like the revenge and perpetuating and glorifying the whole concept of the revenge, and that keeps our people down because so you gotta learn to forgive. So when I'm hanging off the bridge, I'm like, God, is this a cruel joke? You give me talent, but I can't do nothing with
that's
it. Okay? So I said, what do you want me to do? And God put in my heart to use my gifts and my talents to help others. And I went back to my own neighborhood of Pico Union, and I went to the Red Shield Youth Center on 11th and Union, and I knocked on the door, and I said, I'm here to work. And they're like, but we ain't got a job. No, I didn't say I'm here for a job. I said, I'm here to work. Whether you pay me or not, I'm here to work. So they go, what do you do? And I showed my resume. And by then, I had already toured with Americana Dance Theater. Came out of Inner City Cultural Arts Center. I had already directed and written my first plays. And they saw my resume and they go, hey, we're opening up a performing arts center. So I said, I'll tell you what, let me work 1 week free, and if you like my work, hire me. A week later, I'm performing art supervisor, and I'm doing plays with kids, with children, right? And when I was teaching dance, I was walking some little girls, they go, Carmelo, can you help me cross the street? And I'm like, oh man, it's embarrassing, like I don't want to do that, but okay, I'll do it. So some homie throws a rock at me, like throws a rock in my back, So I said, hey, motherfucker, you gonna throw a rock? Throw it in my face, punk. Because I came out of that neighborhood, bro. So like the little girl, she's like pointing to the homie, and she's like, I'm gonna tell mom. And that was his little sister.
Oh.
And she checked him. So I had a little posse of all the little girls, like all the little ballerina dancers.
That was your hood pass.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell mom, So like a couple of days later, I saw that kid, the one that threw a rock at me, at 15 years old, drinking a 40, sitting on a schoolyard bench, and I went over there since I already knew, his little sister, and I went over there and I said, well, what's up, And he's like, damn, dude. He goes, man, I'm tired. My mom, she brings a different man every night, and all we have is separating us is a curtain, and I can't handle it. So even telling the story, bro, I mean, like, dude, man, I feel like this emotion, like what kids have to go through, it's sad, So it was right there where I got my calling. Like at that
said, I have
moment,
to do something.
Exactly. At that precise moment, I said, this is why I'm here. Use my talents to help young people like that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do a play. So I did a play called His Hand in Mine about Doubting Thomas, right? But I did it Zootsuit style.
Okay.
So I got all the homies to play different disciples, right? Like the disciples of soul, right? And then I had them being like Doubting Thomas, but like El Pachuco. Unless I see his hand in mine and say, then I will believe.
But you had to do that so that people would relate to it and be able to
exactly
make it relevant for the time.
But the Salvation Army didn't like it.
Wow.
Because they said, you're bringing a bunch of gangsters in here, and you can't do that. And I said, well, God called me to do that. And they're like, no, that's our job. We're the Salvation Army. So then I knelt down and I said, excuse me, me persiné. And then the homies came and they're like, what happened, Carmelo? I said, that guy, he just fired me. And then they got a bat and they went and busted the guy's car. And then they pulled out a knife and I had to intervene. I said, no, back off, right?
Dang,
so then I had to run to the Salvation Army headquarters. Like, well, they're going to kill this guy if you don't take him out. So they came back. The guy's all scared in the back room. So they had to take him out, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, please work with us.
But not. I think part of it, or the big part of it, is that because you understand, you can relate to the kids, I guess, growing up in the same environment.
There you go.
And that's what makes it. Because people
bro.
don't know, like, I was fortunate to meet you, like, 17 years old, maybe, if that, 18 years old, and then you were doing the youth center at the old jail.
Yeah.
At the time, and that's just one of the, like, just imagine from that little spark, we have OG Husky Radio, where we're a media force. Just honestly, a lot of my mentoring in hip hop came from you, and even people don't even understand this interview is probably like gonna be an hour, but we were chopping it up for like a good 2 before.
Well, you could always edit it.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just trying to let them know, and I said, anybody involved in hip hop, especially if you're an organizer, that he's willing to help you, and he's willing to like connect you with people and help you out and show you, you know what I mean? Like, cause you've already lived it. You've done, you know what I mean? What people are trying to still do.
We all have a purpose in life. And when you align with your design, we're all designed a new way. Like to me, I used to be kind of like frustrated because I felt like I was like, am I a cruel joke or something? Like, why do I have this talent? Why do I have this passion? Why do I have this heart? Why do I have this love like inside me? It seemed like my heart was bigger than my body, And a lot of people make fun of me because I'm short. They tease me, And yet God gave me talent and God gave me a purpose. So once you align with your design, you realize that's why you're like that. Now I get it. You know, because if I would have been any taller, I would probably would have been like an international playboy or something.
Model.
Yeah, you
So,
know. But
wow.
no, that's not who I was meant to be, and I'm happy. I found happiness.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable in my own skin. I understand why I'm designed the way I am designed. I'm designed especially for my purpose, and that's what I do, bro. You know what? That's what I do. My main passion, my main purpose is to open alternative centers for the misfits, for the rebellious, for the creative, because that's who I was as a kid.
And there was nowhere for you to go.
Well, you know, they had places like in Hollywood,
Okay.
like the Teenage Fair, but not in the neighborhood.
Well,
Not in
even
Pico Union, not in
yeah.
MacArthur Park, not in South LA,
Le-
not in East LA.
let's
We had
because
sheriffs and cops.
yeah, that's about it, right?
Yeah, like trying
Uh,
to, sweat us all the time, you know?
With that, you've opened up youth centers in Tijuana. Where else have like just
Well, I went to New York, you know. I
oh,
actually had a coffee house showcase in New York. And that was
yeah.
right before I came back to LA in 1983. And I lived in New York like 3 years from 1980 to 1983. And that was incredible, you know. So, like, I always say, like when I went to New York, right? Because you know
Mhm.
how they say, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
So I want to make sure. So I only got a one-way ticket,
Oh wow.
$100 in a suitcase, and I was there 3 years. Yeah. So I want to make sure,
Uh,
like, I can't. There's no way take a one-way ticket, and that way
you have to.
you have to. You know.
You're giving us a little advice off to, giving me a little advice off there, and one of the things that like you said is that it's in your wording. If you
Hmm.
try, or if it's enough, if you're at least I tried, you're already setting yourself up.
Exactly.
So with that,
Right.
when you're
Right.
working with someone like Carmelo, I even kind of like when you're trying to do, he's like, I'm not trying to do Radiotron. I've done Radiotron, and we're gonna continue to do it.
Yeah. You delete try,
Yeah,
and you transform your life, because instead of saying I'm trying to be an artist, I am an artist. I'm trying to open a center. No, you open a
open the
center.
centers.
You see, I'm making a film. I'm
I'm
not
not
trying to
trying to
make
make.
a film, and you just saw the trailer.
Yeah,
So, am
fortunate.
I trying to make a film, or am I making a film? You see? So, yeah, words are important because words will align with an action. And when I was in Tijuana, people say, "Why do you want to go to Tijuana?" Because everyone wants to leave Tijuana.
Tijuana. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Why are
So,
you going? You
yeah.
know,
So I
from
was,
MacArthur Park to Tijuana. You know,
yeah, I was
like.
undocumented. I was an undocumented worker in Tijuana. You know,
Were you
because
taking jobs from people over there?
I was creating jobs, and I was getting actually what happened with Tijuana was after I did the not a cornfield. I was site manager for not a cornfield project, right? Farm lab. So they said, "Hey, we'll pay your salary for a year. Where do you want to go?" So I had an artist friend of mine named Lucia Duarte had rented a narco tunnel house that had been shut down. Beautiful, like 2-story with rooftop garden, but it was all dilapidated, run down. And he had this vision to create an art center right in the border, like Casa de Túnel. Uh, 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 this house was used for, uh, narco
Tunnels. Yeah.
tunnels, and then so it sat there for like 6 years after that, and he didn't have the money to restore it or fix it or open it. So when they asked me, "Hey, where do you want to go?" I said, "I want to go to Tijuana, and I want to like renovate that house and make it an art center." And I did it. Did I try to do it?
No, I did it.
And if you go there to Tijuana today, right at Colonia Federal, you cross the border, make a right,
Yeah.
and that's the first colonia, is Colonia Federal, and it's right next to the aduana. It's called Casa de Túnel. Google that, Casa de
Yep.
Túnel, and you'll see it right there. Looks like a big ship.
Yeah.
And so after that, I want to bring the kids in, but they're like, it's like an art center. They go, yeah, the kids need their own space. So I went and rented this old closed down capoeira gym,
Okay.
and I opened up Espacio Tijuana, which was like the Radiotron.
Trying.
And then some of the guys from Radiotron, like Little Caesar and even like Cujo,
Yeah.
Iceman,
Yeah.
Cab, they went down there.
Yeah. I remember
And
Iceman telling me,
yeah,
man.
they went
Yeah.
down there and they did a battle,
Yeah.
and they really inspired the kids because believe it or not, when I went to Tijuana, And I told, I met a popper, and I go, hey, I did Radiotron. No, Radiotron. And he whipped out Breaking and Electro Boogaloo,
Uh-huh.
like on video, but in Spanish. They knew. They knew,
They
bro.
knew about it all.
They knew about it. And they're amazing. Like Mexican B-boy and B-girls, they got a lot of B-girls down there.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They're so talented, you know.
Internationally though, it's
Oh,
it's
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 huge.
everywhere. You know
I
that.
mean, yeah, of
The
course, you know, hip hop's all over the world. You
world
know, people in France and Japan, everywhere. But to me, I mean, because it's Tijuana, it's our neighbors right
neighbors.
next door.
Yeah.
You know, we always used to have that bad thing, like when you dress like Miss Mesh, that looks TJ.
Uh,
But you know what? TJ's hip. TJ
uh,
is like, as far as like an art, like an art maker.
do you think art can only strive in struggling when people are struggling? Like, is that, do you
I
find,
think,
is it a correlation, a relation, or?
you know what? Art doesn't discriminate, because you
Okay.
could be born rich and just be born with a gift, and you can be born poor and be born with the same gift. The difference is access. See, because if you're
Yeah.
born rich and you're a good singer,
You
they'll
could pay the
they'll
studio time. You
hello
could
they'll
get that.
nurture that.
Yeah.
You see, so when you grow up and you're rich and you're designed. Remember, I said align with your design.
Design.
So if you're a singer and your parents take you to singing lessons and they nurture the talent, so you're already aligned with your design. So you grow up confident, you're a singer, you know you are, you know who you are, you know what you do. But if you're poor and you're struggling, and say you have to be a beggar in Tijuana, but you're an amazing singer, but unfortunately you were born poor, and you actually, because that's the sad thing, when I go there, oh my God, that
Yeah.
breaks my heart. See children begging in
Yeah.
the streets, that really breaks my heart. And if you see that, and you're one of those kids, could be equally gifted and talented as that rich kid, but doesn't have access. So the kid doesn't know who they are. They're not aligned with their design. They have to do something they don't like,
Yeah.
and that's why they're not happy. You see? So I believe in equality. I believe in the even distribution of wealth, and there's no excuse to have anybody starving in this world, because there's so much food and so many resources.
An
It's just
abundance.
straight up
Yeah.
wrong. And the worst thing in the world, I'm not anti many things, bro,
Yeah.
but I'm anti one thing: billionaireism, because that's just straight up greed.
Yeah.
What can you do with $1 billion, bro? How many houses can you have? It's hard enough staying in one house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just finding the time to kick
To go in the 50 rooms. You're not even gonna use all the 50 rooms in the one
or
house.
like even like having 10 houses here and there. You know,
Yeah.
come on, bro. I mean, I don't get. I'm personally, I just don't get that. You know, I don't get the need for that. I believe in living well. You work hard, you live well, and you should, because you work hard for that. But billionaireism, I don't. That's one thing, and I'm not. You know, I'm very
Right.
free thinking,
Definitely.
but that's, you know, I'm not anti too many things. You know, but billionaireism, that's just straight up greed.
Tuned in to ogskiradio.com. Broadcasting live. Went a little bit more east from where we're at, usually out in El Sereno. We're right here in Boyle Heights. Just real close to the Hollenbach Youth Center. Thank you for, inviting us into your dwelling, man. I love the place. And taking the time. I know right now we got the Radiotron going on this Sunday at MacArthur Park. Super busy. You got the panels that you got to set up tomorrow. But give them all the information and all that what we got going on this Sunday.
Yeah. So this Sunday, August 11th, from 4 to 9 at MacArthur Park Levitt's Pavilion, 6th and Parkview. At 4 o'clock, there's gonna be some crumping, like an hour of crumping. You know,
Okay.
so that's a different show than the Radiotron, but it's a lot of young people doing crumping. So I say, hey, you know what? Let's all merge together.
Yeah.
So crumping, skating, rapping, DJing, all of it, breaking, popping, graffiti art. What other urban art form expressions are there? Kite flying? Do the kids still play?
Kite flying.
Hey, I'll tell you this. Do you know what the kids did in the Renaissance? Like you know how kids skateboard today?
Yeah.
You know what the activity of teenagers in the Renaissance was?
Not a fan.
Blowing bubbles. They
Wow.
would blow bubbles like water bubbles,
Uh-huh.
with long straws and soap, and they would have like bubble battles. Like,
Trip
yeah,
out.
who
You
could
know
have
that?
who
Yeah.
could do the biggest
That
bubbles,
bubble.
And even back then, it would be like, don't you have anything better to do than blow bubbles all
Bubbles.
day?
What
Right.
are you gonna go right there and rap at each other for?
Yeah, same thing. So kids are kids, teenagers are teenagers throughout, doesn't matter the era, but the kids are gonna come up with something new next year.
No,
Watch the kids.
all the time, all the time.
Yeah,
With that, with Radiotron and everything that you've been involved in, I've organized with you events and stuff of that nature.
yeah,
You've always relate to the youth. It's not like, I think what happens now is, as promoters or organizers, you're too much trying to like force the kids. This is hip hop and this is this, and like, no, let them come and let them
yeah.
discover their art and do that. With that, how even can
You know how that
purists
happened?
purists will be, oh well, the crumping isn't hip hop, and like, no, hip hop is hip hop,
It's
and
it.
it's everything. That's
Yeah,
what.
like when I was in TJ and I saw like especially like some of the young B girls, and they were doing incredible abstracts
Yeah.
where they do like contortions, but then they go upside down and stand on one hand. Like the 1990 move, it evolved into it evolved into an abstract.
Yeah.
So we had some guys come from New York, some guy from Rocksteady Crew. He came and he saw that. He goes, that's not breaking. That's yoga. He was hating on
Yeah.
the abstract, and I'm like, no, dude,
You have to
it's
embrace it.
evolved,
Yes.
and we need more women involved in hip hop. We need more women, if they choose to be involved. It's not like we have to also force them to do it, but
Yeah.
there should be equal opportunities for women, people of all backgrounds. It's free, it's open. Do your thing. But I just want to share this real quick, as because you were saying like, how did remember you're talking about like, how did I get involved with kids?
Yeah.
Like, how do I relate to kids? Well, I didn't like kids. At
Trip
first
out.
I didn't like kids, but when I asked God, what do you want me to do? God put in my heart to go work with kids, right?
Trip out.
Yeah. So then I see kids like people. Like, I don't see a kid like a little kid. Like, I don't talk down to a kid.
Yeah.
So my relationship with young people is that I just see them the same as me, but I'm just older. You know? So I see them like little
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
I see them just the same.
You're the artist that I was at that
Yeah,
point.
I
Of
don't
the
talk.
same.
I
Yeah.
don't talk down to them. So I just see them as people. I see kids as people. Kids are people too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They have their own little character. They have their own little quirks. They're interesting, and I'm real with them. You know, like I'll tell you something right now that I want people to understand. When I sit the young people in a circle, and I tell them who's experimented with drugs, and you know who the first one to raise their hand? Me. So I'm like, wow, what if you run for office and they find out? I'm not running for office.
Office.
That's not
Yeah.
my thing. My thing is helping young people and being real with them, being honest with them. So then I tell them, you know what? I got something that is like the best high. And they start throwing out like names of different drugs and herbs and all that.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm high right now. And like, you are? What'd you take? I go, I'm high because I'm doing what I love to do, which is working with you, working with young people. Put me in front of young people, and you're going to see Carmelo high, because I love that. I love working with the youth. And you know what they give me back? Love. But more than I give them, because there's
Yeah.
more of them than me. So they asked me to come and do a workshop with them. And this is when they leave my workshop, they know two things. They know who they are, and they know what they do. And I tell them who I am is I am love, caring, creative, and intelligent. And what do? I'm a youth and cultural advocate. That's what I do.
OGSQRadio.com. Carmelo Alvarez. This Sunday, Radiotron, MacArthur Park. If you're young and don't know what it is or not, come out and experience it. It's hip hop. It's pretty much, I want to say, the blueprint for every hip hop organizer event that takes place. And the success of it is that you involve youth and everything that the youth are involved in. I think it kind of separated now, and I don't want to speak negative, but just so that people in LA can understand. Now it's only a b-boy event. Now it's only a rap battle. Now it's only street art on that level. No, he brought it all together, and that's what made it hip hop. Hip hop was all the elements putting together, and that was the success, and which will be the success for this Sunday for
Mhm.
everyone coming out to support. It's free too, huh?
Yeah, it's free. It's a hip hop summer of love.
Haha,
That's the
nice.
theme.
Yep.
That's the theme. It's a hip hop summer of love. It's a family reunion. It's a family gathering. There's hip hop community is coming out, and they have kids too. So little Coco, he's dancing with his daughter Hannah Pop. So it's
Wow.
intergenerational. Um, Darlene, who was the MC for like Radiotron, and that's
Yeah.
where she met Ice T. She's bringing her 90-year-old grandma.
Wow.
So we got them from 90 to 9 months.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, if it's you're 9 months and you're 9 months pregnant, you know,
Yeah, you know.
be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Be careful. But
MacArthur Park this Sunday.
yeah,
Come on out. I'll
come
be
on.
out there with my two sons in high
Oh,
school already.
nice,
Yeah,
nice.
so
You know what?
yeah.
And I want to just a shout out to my mother, who used to take the bus from Whittier to come volunteer at Radiotron. They called her Mama Breaking.
Mhm.
And to my partner at the time was Cynthia. She's the mother of my three children. And one of them, the first one was made in Radiotron. I told him, I got
Echo and Radiotron.
Hecho en Radiotron. I was telling Egypt that one of my firstborn was made in Radiotron, and he goes, "You should have named him RT."
Yeah, there you go.
RT. Like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
But no, thanks to my wife Cynthia, uh, she worked at Radiotron, and to my children, Noel, Ashley, Dominic, and my little one, Angel. Angel Oz, little B-boy. They're all creative. They're all artistic. They never complain. They never ask for nothing, and I love them.
And then on some real shit, just on the real side, OG Husky Radio side, when you're involved in hip hop and you do stuff of that, not to put anyone or like in a bad vibe, but your wife and your kids have probably sacrificed more for the culture just because you believed in it. And anyone involved, once your family accepts that that's what you're gonna do, then all the like, where's the money gonna come from, or where's that? It's minimal, because even for myself, for the most part, it's like my family already accepts it. I was just telling you that we went down
Yeah.
to San Diego to go camping, and oh, you have to go to Balboa Park and go to the History Museum, and okay, but before we do that, we're gonna go to Chicano Park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna go see the muralists and the murals that have out there. Once your family accepts it, then all this other stuff, it's like, so anyone that's an organizer involved in hip hop, you're dealing with people like Carmel that is not really about the ego. It's about helping people. So
Well,
it
you know
goes a
the.
lot farther than anything else that someone's trying to achieve. Trying to achieve, I said.
Hey, nah, yeah, there you go. And
That's why they don't achieve.
there you go. And those kids, your kids, they will remember. Those are special moments, because when they grow, they go, "I remember my dad took me there." And even if they act like they don't not interested at the time, those are the moments that they remember and cherish the most. But I got some good news for everybody out here. Everybody
What's
that's
up?
been struggling. We're in the dawn of a new era. And if you're Latino, this is our time. We have arrived, baby. We're hot. And I'm glad that I'm living to see it, because there were people that came before me that struggled. Cesar
Yeah.
Chavez and Reyes Tejerina, and I can go on, and list Dolores Huerta, who's still alive and she's living to see it.
Yes.
And I'm happy for that. And we get to see it. We get to see it because life is better for our children. They
Yeah.
will achieve equality because they already are equal, but as far as, financial, politically, culturally, and in every other way. And that's beautiful, because this is a beautiful time. This is a beautiful time to be gente. It's a beautiful time to
Yes, it
be
is.
Latino, to be raza. So, my brother, do not struggle. No
Definitely.
more. You strive now. You
Exactly.
strive now. You don't struggle no more. Delete struggle, baby. We're doing it. We are doing it. Our time is now. We have arrived. I'm very excited. I was at at the Alliance, Latino Theater Alliance in LA. Encuentro right here in ELAC.
Uh-huh.
And I remember there were people there that had been, working in theater for 50 years, for 30 years, for 20 years. And I went to meetings back then, and everybody's arguing and nada,
Right.
nada. Now, nationally, there's more Latino theaters. We're busting out. And in film and in television and in music, our time is now. So it's up to us. Get out there. If you're a writer, an artist, a singer, a dancer, work it. Do it
Yeah.
now, because your time is here. Produce. Get out there. Raise your money. Help each other, man. We gotta back each other. We gotta support, like, Husky Radio.
Yeah.
We gotta support it. OG Husky Radio, Husky Radio. We gotta support each other's work. We have to support each other's work. We can do it. If a film, go see the film, buy the CD. Don't bootleg it.
Yeah,
Don't bootleg it.
What do we say? Bootleg what's bootlegable. That's what we say here
Yeah.
at OGS Radio. But definitely,
But even
the,
that,
the money goes a long way, though. Like, even if you buy it directly from the artist.
But
what I mean?
now with internet, bro, you know what? Like.
Yeah.
Because there's so many likes, so many hits, then they'll, hey, they know you're popular. So your concerts are gonna sell out. Next year at the Grammys, we're gonna have like either Las Cafeteras, or we're gonna have Quexal or Quinto Sol or somebody, Olin, somebody. They're gonna play. It's their time. Because if they could show Celtic music, folk music from Europe, why not our music? So there's no reason, no more. Our time is now. You ready?
Yes, indeed. Radiotron this Sunday. It starts there. Everyone come out and support. I hate to be the salesman of it, but if you're involved in hip hop,
Okay, don't be hating. Delete hating, bro.
Okay, then I am the salesman.
Yes,
if you're
sir.
a promoter,
There you go.
if you're a b-boy, anything you're involved in hip hop, arrive Sunday and network with people, and let's start organizing and building that. Thank you, Carmelo, for your time, and thank you for everything.
Thank you, my brother.
A lot of the stuff you have told me still sticks with me. I remember being a 17, 18-year-old kid, and you said, I just light little fires all around. One of the little fires was, right here in Alstrino down the street, from some little kid from the projects that, disenfranchised, another victim, another kid counted out, and you took your time and you chopped it up with me. And we ended up doing the cultural center at the old LA jail. Go figure. Working with this cat at 18 years old, and we're organizing. We had the skate ramps out in the back. We built
Islam Foundation, much respect.
Yeah.
Armando Martinez, my brother.
Yeah.
So now I'm fanning the flames, brother.
There it is.
So I got a flame right here, man. I'm fanning the flame.
You already know. Then whatever.
This brother's on fire.
fire.
You're on fire, brother.
Thank
You're
you,
on
Carmelo,
fire.
for everything you've done for hip hop, and then for me just as an individual, for the mentorship. Greatly appreciate it, especially taking your time. I know you're extremely busy. I could see it. We're moving panels around here to get everything.
Getting ready for Sunday.
But I definitely, just people that tune in, I definitely just wanted to get a different side of it, the interview, just so people can understand. I feel that people don't know this side of the Radiotron, the Carmelo side of the organization and putting it together. That's why I've been wanting to interview you. We've been running, and it's like now usually we do it in studio, but just down the street ain't no thing. Thank you, Carmelo, for everything you do. OGSKRadio.com. We out. Stay posted. More interviews to come.